People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time and the consistent support. Now, Saturday will be Arteta's first game in charge, which is away from home in the Premier League. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It's Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Now, when someone mentions Crystal Palace's home ground, Selhurst Park, I think it's one of the best in the country. I'm not gonna lie, not in terms of I've been there before and it is quite outdated, and depending on as an away fan where you sit, I don't know about now because I went. When did I go? 2013, 14, one of them times there. I don't know about now, but depending on where you sit, you can actually face the prospect of a bit of the beam of the stadium in front of you. Like the pitch is here, a beam there like that. Can you imagine paying how much money? And you get a seat like that? There's nothing to be done. But on a serious note, Crystal Palace is some of the most passionate fans in the country. Selhurst Park is a lovely, to watch games, it's lovely. To be part of, for me, it's nerve-wracking because I know we've won there a couple of times, but for me, it's a very tough ground to go to. It's always rocking. The 12th man is valid. It's not the biggest of pitches, so the fans are on top of you. And we've had mixed results there in recent years. I haven't got them to hand, but I'm pretty sure you'd agree with that. And what I want to see going into that game, obviously I want 3 points. Obviously I want a convincing performance. Obviously I want us to continue our relatively decent form since Arteta's come into the side. Or even, okay, we didn't have a great performance against Everton in that draw, but Lumberg was in charge them times there. Arteta was more or less going to be the man. There was a sort of little uptake. So really since that game, but mainly against Chelsea United, we've seen something. We lost to Chelsea. There was credibility in our performance. Did well against United, and I'm still terrorising my United fans, supporting friends because of that victory. And I want us to continue it. But if I'm harsh, we did the business there at home. It's easy. It's not easy because people have hidden before, but it's easy to keep up that intensity, to feed off the 12th man when you're the home team. I want us to, that same way at Crystal Palace, where we're fighting for each other, where we're feeding off the crowd, where we look, it didn't matter really, even though we're feeding off the crowd, but it didn't look like we really regarded negative or positive away or home fans. We just doing our job. I want to see us do that because everything's going right for us at home. The fans at home at the Emirates want to see these things. Away from home, they don't want you to show courage and things, and they will try their best to silence you if we go through some nervy moments in that game. I want to see the same togetherness, tenacity, intensity, just downright improvement that we've shown at home because, listen, we've been poor at home as well, but we know a big part as to why Arsenal have not been in the top 4 this season is how we perform away from home. We failed to win games, we failed to keep clean sheets. So we need to see an improvement. Arteta's, listen, we don't even need to worry. Arteta's definitely told these players what they need to do and whatnot. Obviously, Palace are actually ahead of us in the table. It's 9th versus 10th. We can go ahead of them, and I believe we can get on 30 points and put some pressure on those ahead of us and around us if we win at Crystal Palace, people. Palace obviously came back from behind to claim points of us, claim a draw with us at the Emirates. So we know what to expect. I know Zaha's being linked with Bayern Munich and all of these teams, people, and he's a great player, and it'll be a good move for both teams. But we know the problems that Zaha can bring. We know the problems if their fullbacks get forward. We know they can be an issue from set pieces. The one good thing is they might not, what's his name again? Milenkovic, I can never say his name, but you lot know the Crystal Palace guy. He's always scoring penalties. He's got like 4 goals in 6 games against us. I think he got a red card against Derby, so he's not involved. In fact, there's a bit of an injury crisis at Crystal Palace, to be fair with you. I believe I got this on Monday, and again, I got this on Monday, so things can change, and I do think Roy Hodgson might be trying to hoodwink us and things, but apparently Roy Hodgson fears Crystal Palace will be unable to put a competitive side out against Arsenal on Saturday as they battle a crippling injury crisis. The Eagles boss is missing up to 11 senior players through injury and suspension this weekend, and while he wants 4 or 5 new signings this month, none appear to be close to arriving this week to ease Hodgson's troubles. The former England manager said, "How many injury problems from bona fide first team players do you need before someone says, in actual fact, it's very difficult for you to field a team at any point in time. Counting those 2 players, I believe these players were Maya and Rideweld, I can never say his name, the Dutch lad. Now, that makes it 11. How many players are we going to need in our squad to put out what we think is an equally valid 11 in games like this? I've never known a situation where so many players are injured, so many are perhaps long-term injuries. We lost Mohamedou Sakho in the Norwich game, and on Sunday we lost Rideweld and Maya, who were covering for places." So a bit of that might be a bit of hoodwinked. You might hear some, because you hear, for instance, Benteke is positive, looks positive in relation to the injury front in the game. So there might be a bit of being coy from Roy Hodgson. He's in a very experienced and smart manager. He might be selling a bit of dreams. But they do have an injury crisis, people. They do have an injury crisis as the games build up. So again, games are won on paper. These things are relevant but irrelevant. But what will ensure that we win 3 points on Saturdays if we start the game with the same intensity we've been showing at the Emirates. And when that crowd is trying to silence us, keep these energy levels up, because that's our next test. That's our next test. Arteta's seen a lot from these couple of games to know to improve. But away from home, he's already probably seen it against Everton. But we're going to be in for a culture shock, because it's not easy to play at the Emirates. But it's for us, because we're in front of our home fans, and it's been a bit toxic at times because we've been poor. But all the forces want us to win at the Emirates. We have to be able to fight against them repelling forces at Selhurst Park and still show courage, tenacity, animal instinct, like I've heard Arteta more or less say before. These are the sort of things. Of course, I want to see an improvement defensively and things, but I think it will be a lot if we can claim that away victory. Of course, it's only Palace, no disrespect. If we can get that away victory, then I think that's a monkey off Arteta and the boys' back, because we ain't gone away from home yet. And that's what's going to make the difference this season, really, really and truly, people. Looking at the statistics, Crystal Palace are unbeaten in their last 3 games. Premier League meetings with Arsenal, winning 1 and drawing 2. They've never gone 4 consecutive league games without defeat against the Gunners. Arsenal have lost just 1 of their last 14 away games against Crystal Palace, winning 7, drawing 6, going 3-0 down in 2017. Maybe that's why I'm scared of Selhurst Park all the time. Both Palace and Arsenal have scored at least twice in each of the last 3 Premier League meetings between the two sides. No fixture in the competition has seen both sides score 2+ goals in 4 consecutive games. So Aubameyang and Lacazette, if he starts, might break his duck. Aubameyang might score. You never know what could potentially happen, people. Crystal Palace have won 4 of their last 9 previous Premier League London derbies, which is as many as they've done in the previous 28 in the competition. Just to show how much Arsenal have fallen off this season and the work Arteta and the boys have to do, Arsenal are looking to record consecutive Premier League wins for the first time since winning their final game of 2018-19 and their 2 opening matches of this campaign. Crystal Palace are the only side yet to score more than twice in a single Premier League match this season. Indeed, the Eagles' Premier League games have seen fewer goals than other sides' matches this season, while Selhurst Park is the lowest scoring ground in the top flight this term with 18. But you just said they scored at least 20. Okay, man, this is what the statistics is telling me. Obviously, Jordan Ayew and Luka Milenkovic scored for Crystal Palace in the 2-2 draw in the reverse fixture. The last time an Eagle player scored at home and away against the Gunners in the same league season was John Craven. Aubameyang is averaging a goal or assist every 88 minutes in London derbies, 4 assists and 10 goals, and has scored against all 5 London teams he's faced. Obviously, he's got 2 against Palace. There's actually a gap of 34 years and 229 days in age between Roy Hodgson and Mikel Arteta. This is obviously the 5th largest between it will be the 5th largest between 2 managers for a game in Premier League history. Arteta was born in the same season Hodgson was taking charge of his first his first English Football League games with Bristol City. And that, listen, I think Roy Hodgson's a good manager. You can learn a lot from him, and I'm sure Arteta will pick his brains, because Arteta strikes me as a sponge. He'll learn off anybody. I guess the final thing is the lineup, people. For me, it kind of picks itself, really and truly, because of the form of a couple of players. Leno, obviously, in goal, it's a no-brainer. Kolasinac at left back, he's actually been linked with a move to Inter Milan this week, people. So we know who knows what happens there. But I would obviously go with Leno, with Kolasinac. Socrates and Luiz been in decent form, so they get the nod at centre half. Holding, based on his last game, it's too early for him right now. He isn't gonna earn the shirt. Bellerin, I'm not too sure of his injury. He wasn't involved against Leeds, so I'll be inclined to believe he'll be on the bench, if anything, against Palace. There's obviously, he could start, you never know, but I'm inclined to believe that will be Maitland-Niles'. So I'm going to go with Maitland-Niles at right back. Central midfield, 4-3-3 people, or 4-2-3-1. Obviously, Xhaka and Torreira again picked themselves because of the form they've been in. Mesut Ozil, I know he played against Leeds and he might become a bit tired, some will say, but Ozil plays for me. Aubameyang through the middle. On the right, I'm going with Pepe. And we've seen an improvement in application from Lacazette, and he deserves to start. And Arteta might very well start him. But for me, Martinelli is fit again, so Martinelli resumes his Arsenal career on the left-hand side. To go again, Leno in goal, left back Kolasinac, right back Maitland-Niles, centre half David Luiz and Socrates, midfield good partnership of recent games in Xhaka and Torreira, revitalised Mesut Ozil in the 10 position, up front Aubameyang, on the left Martinelli, on the right Pepe. Actually would have liked to have started Nelson, to be fair, and Lacazette, but I want to see Martinelli back in the team, really. I miss that guy, man. Young Alexis Sanchez, he reminds me of, but that's my lineup, people, anyways, man. Hopefully we can get 3 points against Crystal Palace, but for now, people, Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking as usual.